This $5 million drone is shaking up modern warfare. Meet the Bayraktar TB2, Turkey's deadly flying machine. It's got a massive 39-foot wingspan, stretches 21 feet long.
This story didn't begin with treaties or applause. It began with wings. Not borrowed power, but a new resolve, a promise to defend our lands on our terms. The arrival of advanced drones in Burkina Faso wasn't just a military upgrade. It was a declaration of sovereignty. For too long, African security meant dependency. Now, the winds of change roar with engines and electronics. These new aerial platforms aren't just machines. They're the embodiment of self-reliance and a new era. This is how a nation decided to build its own sky. April 2024, Burkina Faso's tarmac displayed a new arsenal, Bayraktar TB2s and the formidable Akıncı drone. This was a public, deliberate message. The nation was rearming for a new kind of war. Captain Ibrahim Traoré called it a decisive leap, from reactive patrols to proactive aerial dominance. The Sahel stands at a crossroads, with new leaders prioritizing sovereignty and seeking partners, not patrons. Turkish drones fit this new paradigm-potent capability, no political strings. For soldiers and citizens, these drones are more than hardware. They're hope. The era of being under-equipped is over. The drone reveal was strategic, not accidental, a message to all. For citizens, it was proof of renewed commitment to security. For insurgents, it signaled the end of safe havens. The sky now watches and strikes. For neighbors, it shifted the balance. Burkina Faso now wields real deterrence. For the world, it was a break from dependence on new alliances. The choice of Turkish drones was as symbolic as it was practical. This was self-reliance, broadcast for all to see. Captain Traoré's leadership marks a new Sahelian philosophy: sovereignty first, foreign oversight out. Turkish drones offer turnkey capability, hardware, munitions, training, without political strings. Now, Burkina Faso operators control the kill chain from start to finish. This shift resonates with a public hungry for dignity and self-respect. The Akıncı's presence counters the old narrative of Africa as a passive recipient. Burkina Faso is now a modern military power, solving its own problems. The Akıncı's public debut in 2024 was years in the making. TB2 drones arrived quietly in 2022, their presence an open secret as operators trained in silence. This secrecy allowed mastery before the grand reveal. By the time the Akıncı arrived, Burkina Faso had skilled crews ready. The unveiling was timed to show the alliance of Sahel states' real military muscle. This wasn't an impulsive buy. It was a methodical, multi-year transformation. The process itself was a statement, a new doctrine, revealed on their own terms. The Bayraktar TB2 is the backbone of Burkina Faso's new air power. It's not the biggest or fastest, but it's brutally effective, flying for over 27 hours, watching and waiting. With a 150 kilos payload of precision munitions, it delivers surgical strikes with minimal collateral damage. Its sensor suite, daylight, thermal, laser, streams real-time intelligence to operators. The TB2 turned operators into sentinels, shifting from ground sweeps to intelligence-led action. Battle-proven from Syria to Ukraine, its arrival in the Sahel was no experiment. It gave the military confidence and experience to own the sky. The TB2 was the essential first step in rewriting the rules of the fight. If the TB2 is the workhorse, the Akıncı is the beast. This is a different class of machine entirely, a high-altitude, long-endurance platform. The Akıncı can carry a staggering payload of weapons and sensors, 9 times that of the TB2. Armed with standoff weapons like the SOM cruise missile, it can strike targets far beyond enemy air defenses, changing the strategic landscape. The Akıncı is equipped with an ESA radar and SATCOM, breaking the chains of line-of-sight control. This combination makes the Akıncı a true game-changer, a strategic asset with a powerful deterrent effect. It signals the arrival of a new apex predator in the skies. The specifications represent a fundamental shift in the nature of time and space on the battlefield. Nightfall as a shield is obsolete. Operations no longer stop when the sun goes down. The battlefield is now a 24/7 environment. There is no longer any time to rest. The payload numbers represent the gift of options. The technology redefines the map. Remote expanses, once a strategic advantage for insurgents, are compressed. The drone's eye view has redrawn it completely in terms of power and control. Ultimately, these specs translate into a single, crucial commodity: initiative. Now, they can be proactive. This seizure of the initiative is the most profound power shift of all. Before drones, war was fought on the ground. It was slow, exhausting, and bloody. Operations were predictable and loud. Convoys were magnets for ambushes. Intelligence was slow. By the time decisions were made, the enemy was gone. The war was defined by the lag between knowing and doing. The old way of war consumed immense resources for minimal results. The fundamental flaw was a lack of vision. Drones were required to fix this weakness. It was about getting a new pair of eyes. The arrival of the TB2 and Akıncı introduced a new grammar of combat, bringing the modern military concept of the kill chain to the Sahel. This process turns information into action. It begins with find. The drone loiters, scanning for insurgent activity. Once found, the chain moves to fix and track. The drone operator locks onto the target, following its every move, building a pattern of life. With the target fixed, command moves to target. The operator makes the final decision. The drone's laser designator is activated. The final links are engage and assess. With a single command, the drone releases its munition. After the explosion, the drone continues to circle. The kill chain can now be completed in minutes. This is the new tempo of war. This new kill chain represents a fundamental inversion of military doctrine. In the old model, ground forces were the primary tool. They would move out to find the enemy, and intelligence would support them. Now, intelligence is the primary tool. The drone, the ultimate ISR asset, takes the lead. It goes out to find the enemy first. The ground forces are no longer the bait or the primary search party. They become the reaction force, held in reserve, ready to act on the high-quality, real-time intelligence being fed to them from the sky. The entire operational model has been turned on its head. This shift means that operations are no longer driven by a pre-planned route on a map, but by the live intelligence feed. A commander sitting in a central post can now see the entire battle space. They can watch multiple drone feeds at once, seeing threats develop in real time. They can then direct their assets with incredible precision. They might task a drone to strike a high-value target directly, or they might use the drone's vision to guide a ground patrol around an ambush, or direct artillery fire onto an enemy position with pinpoint accuracy. The drone becomes the central node, the conductor of a combined arms orchestra. The result is a military that is more lethal, but also more efficient and safer. Because operations are intelligence-led, soldiers are not sent into harm's way unnecessarily. They are not blindly patrolling into ambushes. They move with purpose, armed with the knowledge of what lies ahead. This conserves manpower, reduces casualties, and boosts morale. It allows the armed forces to do more with less. They can control larger areas of territory with fewer troops on the ground, because the drone's presence overhead acts as a powerful force multiplier, giving a small team the situational awareness of a much larger unit. This doctrine shift from ground-led to ISR-led is the very heart of the revolution. It is a smarter way to fight this specific type of war. It leverages technology to overcome the enemy's traditional advantages of stealth and surprise. It allows the state to impose its will across vast, ungoverned spaces without having to physically occupy every square mile. It is a doctrine of control, precision, and persistence. By choosing to build its sky, Burkina Faso did not just acquire new machines. It adopted a new and far more potent philosophy of warfare, one where information itself is the most powerful weapon. The arrival of Turkish drones in Ouagadougou is not an isolated event. It is the most visible sign of a much larger geopolitical realignment sweeping across the Sahel. A new axis of influence is forming, with its hub in Ankara. Turkey has methodically positioned itself as a key security partner for the new military governments in Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. These nations, united in their quest for greater sovereignty and disillusioned with their traditional Western partners, have found a willing and capable ally in Turkey. This is not just about selling hardware. It is a strategic convergence of interests, a partnership of choice, not of historical obligation. This Ankara Axis is built on a foundation of what is often described as a more balanced partnership. Turkey offers advanced military technology without the heavy political lecturing or stringent human rights conditions that often accompany Western arms sales. For Sahelian leaders facing immediate existential threats from jihadist insurgencies, this is a compelling proposition. They get the tools they need to fight their wars, and they get them quickly. This pragmatic approach has allowed Turkey to rapidly displace other foreign powers, most notably France, as the security partner of choice in the heart of West Africa, fundamentally altering the region's diplomatic landscape. Turkey's surge is not limited to drones. It extends to armored vehicles, training programs, and broader economic and cultural ties. Ankara is playing a long game, building deep relationships that go beyond simple military transactions. This comprehensive engagement strategy offers these Sahelian nations an alternative development model, one that is presented as a partnership among equals. The drone deals are the sharp end of the spear, the most dramatic element of a much deeper strategic pivot that is reorienting the entire region away from its post-colonial orbit and towards new centers of power that show them greater respect. This new alignment has profound implications. It provides the alliance of Sahel states with a powerful external backer, enhancing their collective security and diplomatic leverage. The flow of Turkish technology gives their new military pact real teeth, transforming it from a political agreement into a credible defense bloc. The Sahel is no longer just a passive theater for foreign interventions. It is becoming an arena where African nations, empowered by new partners, are actively reshaping their own destiny. The hum of Turkish drones in the skies above the savannah is the sound of this new, assertive era taking flight. Burkina Faso's acquisition of the TB2 and, crucially, the strategic Akıncı did not happen in a vacuum. It has sent powerful shockwaves across the entire West African region, triggering a new and urgent dynamic regional air power race. Neighboring countries, both friendly and rival, are watching closely. They see the decisive advantage that advanced unmanned systems provide, and they understand that falling behind is not an option. The ability to see and strike from the sky with impunity has become the new benchmark for military credibility. No nation in this volatile region can afford to be left on the ground looking up. This is fundamentally reshaping military procurement priorities. For decades, the focus was on building robust ground forces, infantry, armored vehicles, and artillery. Air forces were often a secondary consideration, equipped with aging transport planes and a handful of light attack aircraft. The drone revolution has flipped this script entirely. Now, ministries of defense from Senegal to Nigeria are scrambling to acquire their own ISR and strike drone capabilities. The question is no longer if they should invest in unmanned systems, but how quickly they can get them and from whom. The market is suddenly hot and the competition is fierce. This race creates new logistical and strategic challenges. It's not just about buying the drones, it's about building the entire ecosystem to support them. This includes training pilots and sensor operators, establishing secure ground control stations, and creating new maintenance and repair pipelines. It requires a new way of thinking, a new military doctrine, as we have seen in Burkina Faso. The race for air power is also a race for human capital and technical expertise. It will force a modernization of regional armed forces on a scale and at a speed not seen in generations, creating a ripple effect throughout the entire defense sector. The ultimate consequence of this air power race is a more militarized and potentially more volatile regional environment. While these drones are being acquired for counterinsurgency, their capabilities extend far beyond that. They are potent tools of state-on-state deterrence. As more nations acquire long-range strike capabilities, the potential for miscalculation in times of diplomatic crisis increases. The sky over West Africa, once relatively empty, is becoming crowded. A new and complex game of aerial chess is underway, where the pieces are unmanned, and the stakes for regional stability have never been higher. The Sahel effect is forcing every player to rethink their strategy. The surge of Turkish drones is acting as a powerful catalyst, accelerating the redrawing of the region's alliance map. The old, post-colonial security architecture, long dominated by France and its Operation Barkhane, has effectively crumbled. In its place, new pacts are being forged, built not on historical ties, but on present-day necessities. The most significant of these is the Alliance of Sahel States, or AES, a mutual defense pact signed by Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. This alliance is the political manifestation of the new spirit of sovereignty, and Turkish drones are its military backbone, giving it the credibility it needs to stand on its own. This new reality is forcing other regional bodies, like the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, into a difficult position. ECOWAS, once the preeminent political and economic bloc in the region, has been challenged by the AES. The bloc's initial hardline stance against the military governments in the Sahel, including sanctions, has backfired, pushing them closer together and strengthening their resolve to chart a separate course. The drone acquisitions amplify this divergence, giving the AES countries a degree of military self-sufficiency that reduces their need to compromise with the ECOWAS consensus, thereby weakening the bloc's overall cohesion and authority. This shift creates new opportunities for other global powers. While Turkey has secured a first-mover advantage, Russia is also deepening its security footprint in the region, particularly in Mali and Niger, often working in parallel with the new drone capabilities. China, too, is a major economic player and a potential supplier of its own drone systems. The Sahel is transforming into a competitive marketplace for geopolitical influence, where African leaders have more options than ever before. They can now play different partners off against each other, selecting the deals and alliances that best serve their immediate sovereign interests, a luxury they did not previously enjoy. The ripple effect is a complete reordering of regional power dynamics. The traditional heavyweights, like Nigeria and Ivory Coast, must now contend with a newly assertive and technologically advanced bloc in the AES. The balance of power is no longer as clear-cut as it once was. The Sahel, for so long considered a peripheral zone of instability, is now a center of strategic innovation and geopolitical change. The drones did not just change the battlefield, they blew up the old map of alliances, forcing every nation to reconsider its friends, its enemies, and its place in the new West African order. For generations, the night belonged to the insurgents. Darkness was their greatest ally, providing cover to move and regroup. For government forces, the setting sun meant retreat and heightened vulnerability. The drone changed this. Its arrival signaled the conquest of the night. Equipped with thermal imaging, the TB2 and AKINCI turned darkness into an asset. These cameras see heat, exposing warm bodies and running engines. For the drone operator, night is clearer than day. The drone's thermal eye erases the insurgents' advantage, transforming darkness into exposure. The fear of being watched degrades morale and disrupts plans. It says, "We see you. We are always watching." This gives the initiative back to the armed forces. They can hunt the enemy when they feel most secure, breaking their operational tempo. The Conquest of Night is a strategic weapon, altering the conflict and dictating the terms of engagement. The old war involved overwhelming but inaccurate force, causing immense destruction and tragic civilian casualties. This lack of precision was a strategic failure, creating more enemies. Enter the MAM-L and MAM-T munitions. Small, sophisticated laser-guided weapons. They are the scalpels of modern air power, allowing operators to strike specific targets with incredible precision. This allows the armed forces to surgically remove threats while leaving the surrounding area untouched. This reduces collateral damage, protects innocent lives, and undermines insurgent propaganda. The drone and its smart munitions erase that sanctuary, meaning no leader is safe. Precision is about creating new, decisive opportunities. The Sahel's vastness and ungoverned spaces once made distance a strategic weapon for insurgents. They established bases and stockpiled weapons far from army patrols. The Akıncı drone, with its SATCOM link, shatters this tyranny. Distance becomes irrelevant. The state can now project power and persistent surveillance into every corner of its territory. There are no more remote safe havens. The drone shrinks the enemy's world, forcing them to live with the paranoia that they are being watched. Beyond counterinsurgency, this breaks the chains of geography for national security. It is a tool of national sovereignty. The drone has effectively broken the tyranny of distance. Power never exists in a vacuum. Insurgent groups are adaptive, learning to survive against better-equipped forces. Drones pose a threat, and insurgents are adapting tactics to survive. They're learning the drone's weaknesses, studying how to counter the eye in the sky. Their first adaptation is dispersion. Fighters operate in smaller cells, avoiding large gatherings. They hide vehicles and minimize their thermal signature. Insurgents are deploying their own unmanned systems. The most dangerous tactic, hiding among the people, using villages as shields. This exploits the precision of drones, turning moral strength into a tactical weakness. The enemy learns, adapts, and forces the war into a grayer ethical space. With great power comes great responsibility. Global watchdogs warn of the grave risks that come with armed drones. The core concern is the potential for civilian harm. A drone's eye view can be deceiving. It can be difficult to distinguish a fighter from a farmer. The risk of misidentification is real and has led to tragic mistakes. This places immense psychological weight on the drone operator. They are the new soldiers of the 21st century. They're in a climate-controlled room, looking at a screen, yet they make life and death decisions. This creates a unique form of stress. Burkina Faso must develop a robust ethical framework for its drone program. It's about doctrine, training, and accountability. The drone is a powerful weapon, but its true target is the restoration of trust between the people and the state. It is the wisdom and restraint with which they use that power that will ultimately determine if they can win the peace. The drone revolution is not just a military story, it is an economic one. For decades, building a credible air force was prohibitively expensive. The cost of a single modern fighter jet runs into the tens, if not hundreds, of millions of dollars. The real expense comes from the astronomical operating costs. The Bayraktar TB2 shatters this old economic model. A nation can acquire an entire fleet of highly effective combat drones for the price of just 1 or 2 modern fighter jets. A drone sips fuel compared to a jet engine, and its maintenance is simpler. This puts advanced aerial capabilities within reach, democratizing air power. This affordability is a strategic enabler, freeing up financial resources. It's a smarter, more pragmatic path to security, proving that strength does not have to come at an unbearable price. Drones are simpler systems, easier to deploy, sustain, and integrate. The drone is not just cheaper to fly, it is easier to keep flying. The current relationship is one of buyer and seller. Burkina Faso procures drones from Turkey. But the long-term vision is far more ambitious. Creation, not just consumption. The proliferation of these systems across the Sahel creates an economic opportunity, the establishment of regional hubs for drone technology. The need for local support will become critical. The first logical step is the creation of maintenance, repair, and overhaul, or MRO centers. Beyond maintenance, the next horizon is training. A regional center of excellence for unmanned systems training, based in the Sahel, would be a powerful strategic asset. The ultimate goal is local assembly and partnership, transitioning the continent from a consumer to a producer, forging a new industrial future. A nation's strength is measured by its borders. In the Sahel, borders have long been abstractions, lines drawn on a map, but nearly impossible to police. But the drone changes this dynamic entirely. A single drone can loiter for an entire day, methodically scanning a 100-kilometer stretch of frontier. The drone's persistent gaze transforms a porous border into a monitored, controlled space. Or, if they are identified as an immediate hostile threat, the drone can engage them directly. This ability to interdict threats right at the border is a strategic game changer. This new reality has a profound impact on national security. The drones are the new, tireless guardians of the nation's edge. The drone's true power is unlocked when it becomes the centerpiece of a new, integrated fighting force. This is the essence of modern combined arms warfare. The real-time intelligence feed is streamed directly to the soldiers on the front line, turning every soldier into an intelligence node. Convoys can now travel under the protective overwatch of a drone, scouting for miles ahead. Artillery becomes a precision instrument when guided by a drone, ensuring a direct hit. The drone is the catalyst for this transformation, breaking down silos and forcing branches to work together. This combined arms revolution is forging a military that is fundamentally smarter, faster, and more integrated than ever before. A new narrative is being written across the Sahel. For generations, Africa's security was a matter for foreign committees, and the continent's skies were not its own. The wings that arrived in Ouagadougou were more than just military hardware. They were the punctuation mark at the end of an era. The leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger chose partnership over patronage. They chose technology that served their sovereign needs without compromising their sovereign will. It was a political declaration that the defense of Africa would now be defined and executed by Africans. This is the heart of the new Pan-African vision, a vision of self-reliance and unapologetic strength. Instead of asking for permission, Burkina Faso simply built its sky instead. The journey we have traced is one of profound transformation. We saw how the slow, grinding war gave way to the swift, precise logic of the ISR-led kill chain. This is not just about a new piece of technology. It is about a new way of thinking, a new way of fighting, and a new way of asserting national will. The drone became the catalyst for a much deeper change. This power shift has unleashed new dynamics across the entire region, but it has also raised new and difficult questions about the ethics of remote warfare, the risk to civilians, and the burden of responsibility. The choice to define sovereignty on one's own terms. It is a message for a continent that is rising and ready to become its author. This is where our story ends, but where the new reality of the Sahel truly begins. This is the new Africa. This is Insight Africa, where sovereignty takes flight.